Yeah, we can definitely talk about tax delinquent properties. So I've actually purchased three. One I've sold. I only bought it because I knew somebody wanted it and I just wanted to help them out. And then two I've got, and I'm trying to build low-income housing on. You can watch my other videos for me playing the stock market about that. So this is going to be different in every state, right? Like the process is. But I'm pretty sure these general instructions are a great jumping off point for everybody, right? Like it took me a lot of research to come down these instructions, right? Like everybody wants to sell you a course. I don't want to sell you a course, okay? Like I don't give a shit about selling a course. Do you know how much work that sounds like? It sounds like so much fucking work. I am way too lazy. I already work really hard, okay? I don't want to do more work. Anyway, back to this. And you will have to look into like ordinances and stuff, right? Like you'll have to go on and see like whoever is in charge of like your building codes and stuff like that and make sure that the property that you're purchasing is big enough to do whatever you want to do. Some places have like minimum build sizes. For a lot of these places, there's going to be like zoning, unless you're like out in the county and there's not like some kind of county commission that takes care of that. There will probably be some zoning ordinances that you have to abide by. I would also look and see if there's like any kind of utilities. We'll get into all that. I've only bought property, right? Like I have never bought something with a house on it. I think something with a house on it is going to take a lot more work for a lot of reasons. Number one, you don't know if anybody's living there, right? Like they might not have legal authority over the property, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be somebody there. I personally don't want to be put in a situation where I'm checking something out that I've bought and there's a guy there. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to kick anybody's grandma out. Like, anything with a house seems like it's bad news bears. So I've only bought properties that have nothing on them, right? Like everything I've bought, a house is burnt down on. It's just how it works out. Sometimes you can build houses on these, right? Or you can revitalize something that's already been there. You could make a community garden, right? Like you could do a whole bunch of stuff. There are also these situations where a developer will make a neighborhood and then they won't pay the taxes for like the middle of the cul-de-sac or next to the sign when you first drive in, stuff like that. Or like the basketball court or like the dock, something like that. You know, they just won't pay the taxes and nobody bothers to do anything about it because it's like in the middle of a community. Or it's, you know, like nobody's going to use it except the person that has like actual control over it. But you can buy these to fuck with people. You know what I mean? If you hate your neighbors and you go on there and you find you can buy a tax delinquent property, put a big fucking billboard that they have to stare at every day, like, I would love to hear about it. That's like my dream, is to do some petty bullshit like that. But let's get back into the instructions. First thing you're going to want to do is find your state's property tax delinquent search. Okay, so you're going to look my state. So like if you live in Texas, you know, Texas tax delinquent property search. Sometimes they're auctions. For my state, all you have to do is select the county and it will pop up a whole list. Have like a grid and it'll show you like this vague information about these properties. You're going to have to figure this out for your area, right? This is how it works here. I don't live in Texas, by the way. It's going to have like a brief, vague description. Sometimes it'll have like the measurements, and those are very important, especially if you want to do something specific, right? Like if you know there's a minimum lot size and there's a minimum build size, and the properties you're finding are too small, you know that you need to look somewhere else or maybe wait a while. Where I live, the parcel number is what I'm looking for. You want to find your tax delinquent search. And then you're also going to want to find your county's parcel viewer. And I'm pretty sure most have these. This is usually run by your tax commissioner, your county commissioner, something like that. And that's where you can go and see who owns different properties. You want to take the parcel number from your state website and poke it into your county website, right? Take it from the state website, poke it in the county website, and you're going to have to play with it. In my case, I noticed that every parcel number started with my county identifier because I know that every county in this state has a number that's associated with it. Like there's County 01 and then there's County 03. You know, we all complain about, you know, County 20. And I know when I take that parcel number, I've got to drop the county identifier before I put it in there. And in a lot of these systems, they'll add like a bunch of extra zeros to the end, so you want to shorten it, right? You don't want your county identifier number, you don't want a bunch of zeros. And then you take that, you poke it in there, and you hit search. It'll all the way to the parcel that you're looking at, right? So this is it's a map system, right? So it's very scary for a lot of people, but it works similar to like Google Maps, right? Like you just have to think of it as like Google Maps, and you're just gonna have to play with it. Here and click around. Like, what's the worst you're gonna do? Break it? It's a government system. Like, you should break it. If you can, you should. They should know better. Sometimes it will pop up multiple parcels when you poke in that number, right? And you're going to be like, what is going on? Why does it look like this? If you look who owns it, oftentimes it will say like owned by state of blah, 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 tax delinquent property, right? Like I've looked in several different surrounding states and they all have like similar verbiage on their maps. There you can get on like Google Maps and you can find like that specific parcel and you can look at it and you can see like the different history, like did it have a house that burnt down? Often on your county website you can also tell, kind of look backwards and see like what's going on with that property. You can see if there's any like utilities set up, like you can go drive by it. At that point you're going to go back to your tax revenue website and fill out the form to buy it. In my state, it's like super easy. It's like I fill in 5 pieces of information and then in 6 to 10 business weeks, they might get back to me and be like, hey, they were like, this is how much we want for it. And then you're like, cool, I'll fucking take it. And you send back a money order and they send you the deed. And then from there, you just take the deed down to your county commissioner's office and have it put in your name. So there are some caveats here, right? My case, and this is just my case, and it might not apply to you. The amount I had to pay was the taxes owed at the time for 1 year times the number of years the state had owned it. Okay, so what does that mean? If I bought a property in 2025 that the state had taken possession of in 2000 and the taxes for that year were $1, I would owe $1 times the number of years that they had owned it, which is 25, right? So I would owe $25 for that. That's how it works here. It's not necessarily how it works everywhere. Your state might even do just like a once-a-year auction. There are local ones you can do like that too. Some caveats with this, right? Because there's always like some kind of weird shit you got to look out for. You need to check for liens to see if there are other liens on the property. There are a lot of options out there for your state. Just make sure that you don't get like some kind of scammy one. In this kind of situation, it helps to have a friend who is a realtor or an attorney because they can do all that shit for you and it's like super fast and free. In my state, the owners have a 3-year right of redemption from the time the state bought it, right? So that means that if I bought something in 2025 and it had been taken over by the state in 2024, they still have 2 more years. The original owners still have 2 more years where they can pay the taxes on it, take over possession. In this instance, they would have to pay them to me. And it gets really complicated from that point, and I've never dealt with that. I only buy ones that have been on the list for decades. You know what I mean? Like, that just have been like overlooked. So the ones that I own now, I bought for $725 and $1,100. And they're in great locations as far as like I'm concerned and as far as like my purposes. A bunch of things to look out for. As always, this is not financial advice. I don't know anything. I've done this a couple times successfully. I haven't done anything with these properties yet. I don't really know what to do or how to get started. If you got any ideas for that, please let me know. Also, please remember to follow if you want to see how all this ends up.